looking at the dashboard here to see your scores. You want to look at the dashboard here to see your scores. Scores will let us know how familiar you are with this particular topic of presentation today. Let me quickly look at it and then I'll get back again. No one has submitted. Are you? I hope everyone in the house is participating. We've not seen any submission with regards to the quiz. I have Amarachi of Paranozie, Belkisu, Suleiman, Paludun Samson, and someone that didn't put his name, ITEL, and then a techno overview. We'll quickly finish the test, the quiz, and then we can begin discussing. So I'll go off again briefly for maybe 2 minutes or 3 max. If you have attempted it, I'll be checking the dashboard. Once you do the test, just click submit, and I should see it on the dashboard. All right, ladies and gentlemen, while I wait for your responses, we'll just continue. We'll just continue. But I need to know that I have participants in the class. Maybe we'll allow people to either on themselves at this time, so that I know that you are in class. And or those of you that your video is on, you can just wave at me. Then I know that you're in the class. But if otherwise, if we are not going to unmute everyone, can you kindly type in the chat column that I should continue? With that, I am assured that you are in the class. Let me get your reactions on the chat. Right, please continue. Yeah, yeah, I'm happy now. I'm alive now. All right, Paladin say continue, and Belkisu say I should start talking. I thought that my class was empty, and that was why I was afraid of just talking to the wall. Okay, now that I know that I'm not talking to the wall, let's continue. Those of you that have attempted the quiz, fine and good. I'm going to check the scores later. I just want to see what your performance is. If you score very low marks, beautiful for me, because it means that I have to talk in detail. But those of you that will be scoring very high marks, it means that I don't need to waste my time talking so much. You are very, very much familiar with the topic of the day. Okay. Now, what are we here for? We are here to discuss entrepreneurship generally. Of course, you all know that this is an entrepreneurship institute where we try or attempt to develop your entrepreneurial skills. The interesting thing about entrepreneurial skills is that a large part of it or some part of it are innate or you're born with it. So what we're here is to just brush up your skills. We brush up your skills from what? It's not as if we are necessarily entrepreneurs. Yes, we may be entrepreneurs here and there, but what we bring on board is collection of studies that have been done by several scholars to see how we can help enlighten you on those ones and see if they can help you in your endeavor. All right, so welcome on board all my honorable, distinguished entrepreneurs. While I'm wishing you the very best success in your endeavor, we want to begin today's module 2, and it has two sections. The first section is feasibility study. The second section is the business plan. So we'll talk about feasibility study. It has some 4 topics under it. Yeah, 4 topics. They want to look at what feasibility study is. Um, we'll look at a feasible business. We'll also talk about subjective drawbacks and then shortcomings of feasibility study. We also want to look at maybe how you go about it, maybe practical advice. And when you're done with your feasibility study, we'll see about 4 items at minimum. Let me say 6 items. That's what the components of the feasibility study is. And we'll take a short break or maybe no break because of time. We'll go into business plan. We'll go into business plan. The business plan, we just talk about 7 items: the executive summary, the description of the business, your competitive advantage, your business strategy, resource planning, and all of that. So that's what we're going to do, and we will close the day. And I expect that those of you that will have some questions, you can jot it down, or don't wait for me. You can interrupt me by raising your hand at any time. If you don't want to raise your hand at any time, you can write it on the chat. All right, distinguished entrepreneurs, I had to change my internet provider. The other one was unstable. This is some of the limitations you get with this type of system. So I don't know. Can you see my screen? Okay, let me start sharing my screen afresh. I think you can see. Okay, I believe you can see my screen now. I see my screen now. I was also able to peep on the dashboard and I noticed someone had submitted his call. Okay. Um, okay, I have just only one attempt on the dashboard. Okay, only one attempt. Okay, fine. Let's just go ahead. I'm fine with the attempt. All right. I hope it's not the only person I'll be talking to. Fine. Section 1, feasibility study. Maybe I should ask again. What's the difference? Or what is a feasibility study? What do you think a feasibility study is? The way we do it is the same way. Just go to the chat and just write for me. And then number 2, can you differentiate between feasibility study and a business plan? And then what are the reasons why we should do a feasibility study? Why am I taking this test now? I'm taking this test so that at the end of the section, I believe that you will be able to answer this question. They are like the objective of what I'm trying to discuss. Okay. All right, thank you. Someone said I can continue. I've gotten that text. Okay, so can we write on the chat now? I know that the lag is not more than 10 seconds. So just write number 1. What is feasibility study? Don't give me all those definitions that we'll find in Google. Don't give me definitions that you can find in any text or the ones that you have learned in school. What I am asking for at this time is a definition of what registers in your mind immediately somebody say feasibility study. That's what you just write. Write in your own language and I can see it. Then go to number 2. Try to differentiate between feasibility study and a business plan. And then the last one, why should everyone do feasibility study? Recall one thing that you guys here are all entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs don't bother themselves with academics as such because that's their own career. That's what they face. Academicians face academics, they face writing of books. So for those of you that are entrepreneurs, you go ahead and explain it the way you will to a fellow entrepreneur. Right, I'll be waiting to see it at the chat. Oh, I'm not getting any response. Not getting any response. But if not getting any response, it's not the response that's my major interest. My major interest is once I'm assured that we're in class, then it gives me this comfort that I can keep talking instead of just talking into the air. Although there is, we've also put on ground another platform, that is a YouTube platform, which will allow me to continue to talking and it's going to be recorded. So for those of you that are not participating fully here, whenever you have the time, you can listen to whatever we have discussed on the YouTube channel. The link will be pasted on the WhatsApp group, the WhatsApp chat group at the end section. So what are we discussing today on feasibility study? I said we'll talk about 4 things. That's 1, the what is a feasibility study, and then we also want to know what a feasible business is. We also like to know the objectives of objective importance and shortcomings that we have observed from feasibility studies that people have done. At the end of this session, I expect that you guys will be able to go back and do your feasibility study again if you have not done one. And if you have done one, you will want to take a look at it if you have actually covered all the ground. Then 3 is just how to go about a feasibility study. Let me change that term. Just say short advice on what to do when you're in the field. And number 4 tells us the components, the minimum components we're going to find on your feasibility study. Okay, let's begin right away with the first thing. What's a feasibility study? A feasibility study is an analysis of the viability of an idea. I hope I'm not talking too fast then. Sometimes one can sound very fast, analysis of viability of an idea. Well, the 3 keywords that you just need to know is there is an analysis that has to be done. There is also the analysis is going to be done on the viability of an idea. So the first ingredient is that we should have an idea. All of you here must have an idea already. Then we want to check whether this your idea is viable. By checking, we're doing an analysis of the viability. That means can this idea, can it stay for a long time? All right, that takes me to the first example. Like if I come up with an idea, business idea, that I want to make a machine that can feed people. All you need to do is to put the machine on your desk, and then you put food there, and then it feeds you. You don't need to use your hand. So class, let's quickly analyze this particular feasibility to this business idea to see whether people are going to buy this machine. As we're trying to analyze it, there are variables that we're going to consider. The first thing we'll consider is do people really need a machine to feed them? Do people prefer to use machine to feed them, or they prefer to use their hands or calories in eating? That's the first thing we're going to ask ourselves. And we are not doing this analysis on people that have maybe health challenge or someone that does not have his hands anymore or something like that. We are doing this analysis for the normal person with all body parts functioning very well. Because that's the larger part of human beings. So we're not facing the other one. So like I usually do, I ask that people should tell me in the chat whether they prefer to use their hands and calories or they would like to use that machine. So the answer will pull from the chat to let us know whether the idea will survive or see the light of the day. So any kind of analysis, and by that, that's an analysis, sorry. Any kind of analysis you do just to test whether this idea is going to be viable, then we are saying you are doing a feasibility study. When you draft this feasibility study down into a report, then we now say that's a feasibility report. It is from this your report that we expect that you're going to draft a business plan. That's how do you intend to go about it. The other one has told you whether it's going to work, and this other one is telling you how you're going to go about it. The key example for that is like you see a piece of land, and then you consider buying the piece of land so that you can put up your home on that place. You put up your house. Yeah, that's the feasibility study. You check whether the land is available, whether someone will give you the land, whether you can buy the land. All of that is feasibility study. But your architectural plan, the home plan, and then the quantities of wells, a bill of quantity, and all of that they will give you, that becomes your business plan. So that's the basic difference between the two. So the first thing we'll have to come first, and that's the feasibility study. But let me check the chat again if I got any response on whether people want to use hands or calories. Okay, still no chat. I hope that their network is okay and stable. I also hope that they're in class. If they're not in class, anytime you get back to class, feel free to write the answer. But then if the Zoom class has closed, you cannot respond to the Zoom class anymore. Okay, let me just proceed. And what does it do essentially? It looks at the viability of an idea with emphasis, right? The feasibility study I'm talking about. The last point that says it looks at the viability of an idea with an emphasis on identifying what potential problems. What would be the potential problems with this machine that we want to manufacture that can feed people? How would this machine be powered? It's going to be powered by light. And when there is no power, what do we do? Or we will use battery so that, or we use solar, or no food for you anytime there's no light at all. You see that these are potential problems that we're identifying, and we're trying to get to know whether the whole idea is essentially the feasibility study. we're doing. So if my participants were active today, I'm sure they would have been able to answer whether they will do it or not. They will use their hands or look forward to buying the machine. And if you look forward to buying the machine, then it tells me that someone should go into the design and manufacture of such. All right, so the next thing is let's look at what time can you say this is a feasible business? At what time can you say this is a feasible business? A feasible business is one where the business will do one of these four things. Not one, let's say we'll do all these four things. First, it should generate adequate cash flow and then profit. I hope no one is asking me, why am I saying adequate cash flow? Why don't I make it 5 points and say, I hope it will generate adequate cash flow, and then I hope it will generate profit, so that there will be 5 points. But if you listen to the example I'm going to give you now, see the reason why I had to put cash flow and profit. The example is about Amarachi and Yokisu. They both went to the market to buy orange. They bought orange, 10 oranges each, 10 naira. That's 10 times 10 oranges, 100 naira, fine. Amarachi got to the market and then Amarachi sold her oranges for 100 naira each. And that's what? 100 times 10, 1,000 naira. So Amarachi has 1,000 with her and she bought it for 100 naira. She has a profit of what? 900 naira. So her profit is 900 naira, whereas she has a cash with her of 1,000 naira, because that's what people have given her. All right, on the other hand, Bikisu was in the market and then she sold each of her orange for 200 naira each. So she'll be getting what? 200 times 10, that's 2,000. 2,000 minus the 100 she spent in buying it, that gives us 1,009. So she has a profit of 1,009. Who made more profit? Amarachi profit of 900, Bikisu profit of 1,900. Yes, obviously it's Bikisu, but there's something else I did not add. I didn't add that all Bikisu sold all her oranges on credit. So she doesn't have cash on her at that time. You see, two of them are operating the two different models. One is facing profit, the other one is ensuring that her cash gets in. So, but for a business that is feasible, there should be a balance between the two. You should have enough cash flow. You should also have good profit. That is at that point that we say your business is feasible. But if you have only profit and there's no cash flow, you know you're going to go down. So you have to put a machine. Bikiso has to put a machinery in place that at least the minimum of 5 people will pay back 200 naira for each orange, so that she will be at par with Marachi. So that's a simple common business model that anybody can adopt, anybody can face, and is a very popular thing that people do. So a feasible business, number one, must have adequate cash flow and then profit. Number two, a business that is feasible will be able to withstand the risk it will encounter. You say I'm using two will there, will and then will encounter, meaning that for sure you will encounter risk. All businesses will encounter risk. There is no going about. There are risks. Risk is simply probability, and you know we all live on the world of probability. Do you know what's going to happen tomorrow? Do you know whether the weather is going to be hot tomorrow? Do you know whether the weather is going to be cool tomorrow? You don't know some of these things. The best you know, for those of you living around here, you know that it's going to be dry. That's what you know. But sometimes, even though it's dry, sometimes in the night it's going to be cold. In the night it's going to be hot. You don't know for sure. So that's how life is, and business is part of life, and so it faces what? Risk. Now the question is, if it's a feasible business, it will withstand. If it is not a feasible business, it will go off. The other point is that can it meet the long-term? Um, can it meet the long? Can it remain viable in the long term? That's what we're saying. Can it remain viable in the long term? Viable in the long term, you know, when we're discussing feasibility, we're talking about viability. A business can be viable today, but can it be viable tomorrow? Can it be viable in the next 2 days? For example, if you take the business of selling fuel, petrol, in what we refer to as a black market, is that a viable business? Of course, you'll be making some profit. You go, you buy what's hoarded, and then you try to sell to people that are pressed, that are in their need of this thing. But will that thing remain viable for long? Of course, when the supply stabilizes, you are out of the game. Then the last one, can it meet the goals of a founder? What did you have in the mind? What was the purpose of setting up that company? Can it meet this? So when you fulfill all these four, then we'll say the business is feasible. But sometimes you could fulfill one or two of them, and then we'll say the business is viable, feasible. We expect that you should meet these four. Then we can now say this business is going to go for a long way. All right, before I close the first topic, which is and then a feasible business, let me quickly mention some of the things that you should note whenever you are discussing feasibility. Most like a rule, a standing rule. Anybody with a business idea should conduct a feasibility study, full stop. So you just wake up, anytime you hear a business idea, what's the next thing you tell the person? Hey man, go do a feasibility study, period. You don't discuss further, just ask the person, do a feasibility study. All right, to determine what the viability of the idea before you proceed with developing the business. That's essentially what you do with a feasibility study. This point is premised on the importance of feasibility study, just to know whether the business will work. All right, other things to note, we also said your feasibility study should address things like where should you where should the business operate? How should the business operate? These are things that you have to ask yourself. Like if you have a bookshop, a physical bookshop, and where should you be located? You should be located perhaps close to a school or close to those that can afford the books. Well, what am I saying? I'm saying that if you have a bookshop, it's better to locate your shop near where parents can access easily because they are the ones that buy the books for their school. Or you locate it near schools because these schools will come and buy the books, or the students will come out and buy the books themselves. So your feasibility study will address things like that. You don't locate a bookshop in a farm. If you do that and you expect the farmers to come there and read about how they plant their crop before coming back to their farm, uh, you may not be very successful there. Another point is that it provides in-depth details about the business. You know, when it's only an idea, it's just a broad intention, it's just a broad idea. But when you do a feasibility study, the study start providing in-depth details, start telling you some of the things that you didn't know about that idea when you conceive it. The other thing is that it's a very valuable tool. In fact, for me, I would consider it that's what you use in developing your business plan. Most of the time, there are people that write a business plan without doing any form of feasibility. You will see that there might be no link with their business plan and the environment because the feasibility study helps you to really scan the environment, know what's happening in reality, and then you can match it to your business. Right. The last thing you said, feasibility study can be used in many other ways, but primarily we focus on proposed business. Right. So that's it on what a feasibility study is and um, what a feasible business is, and then something that you should note anytime you're doing your feasibility study. Right. So I can go to the next point now, which is objective, the common shortcomings that we have noticed about feasibility studies, and the importance. All right, what's on the slide? Study the feasibility study objective. Okay, we're saying what are the objectives of doing a feasibility study? The first one is to raise funds. That's it. Anytime you need money, you do a feasibility study because the person providing the money is going to ask for it. Or even if you're going to take the money from your pocket, will you just put your money on a broad idea? It doesn't flow. You need to do a feasibility study to know whether you should put your money on that idea. If I notice that there are so many masquerades around town, and I say, okay, let me get into the idea of manufacturing masquerade clothing. That's a broad idea. You need to do a feasibility study to know where masquerade dance. Do they buy these costumes? Where will they buy them? These are things that before you put in your money, don't just put in money to start looking for manufacturing costumes for masquerades just because you feel there are more masquerades around that you want to buy and they might need. Another one we say is for it helps us to determine the optimum facility mix that can maximize revenue. What are we saying by that? You know what facility is? Facility is your capacity. Facility is the things that you put on ground to run the business with. And so it should have an optimum mix, meaning that how many what's the number of refrigerators we should have in this shop? What's the average number of seats we should have? What's those are things. If it's a factory line, how many assembly lines should we have? How many staff should we have? All of these are facility kind of mix, right? Or let's say resource mix. But this particular one, emphasis is on facility, meaning tangible things that you can touch. You need to find a way of mixing it in so that you can maximize revenue. A key example I usually give is if you're into transport and you want to transport people in the rural area, maybe using a bike. If your study suggests that about 10 people leave the village daily, but they live at a space of 1 hour each, um, 1 hour each. Should you buy 10 bikes or you should think of something else? You will notice from there that buying 10 bikes will just convert this one bike to each person that lives in the village. But that wouldn't be the best. I think that what you should do is you buy two bikes. Why do you buy two bikes? When one person leaves, the person might return before the next person that lives in the village. Since everybody don't live, all the people do not leave the village at the same time, right? So you need to just do those analysis and say, okay, people live in leave the village in a space of 1 hour each, so you can put two bikes. The second bike is in case the first one fails to return, and then you can use the second one bike. You believe that in the next 2 hours, the first one should have returned. So those things help you to maximize revenue. So you make more money from two bikes than buying 10 bikes to 10 people. Meaning that one bike will just be making money from one person. Whereas if you have two bikes and for 10 people, you discover that one bike is making money from 5 people. So that's what we mean essentially by maximizing revenue. All right, next point. Next point is to help every party agree to this project. Like here, what's the number one party in this project? The number one party in this project is you. The second party is Niger Microfinance Bank. And then number three could be some other people that you have called in to help you fund. And maybe we have a number four, which is a partner in business or something. So if you guys do a feasibility study to help everybody agree on it. And that's why the Niger Microfinance Bank is going to call you for interview so that you guys are going to agree on all the parts of this project. If you have not done any form of feasibility study, if you do not understand your business very well, or you are not into an existing business, you may not be able to answer some of these questions that they will ask you. You may not be able to answer some of these questions. Maybe asking. All right, another objective is that it helps us form the basis for initial markets, right? Initial markets so that we can plan what to do. What is market in the first place? Let me not just get it mixed up. Market, as far as this discussion is concerned, is the number of people that will buy from you. So what are we saying? We say the feasibility study objective is to help you form the basis for your initial market. It helps you know that, okay, my initial market will be 100 people, my initial market will be 2 people, and then you plan the project along that number of buying your product. And interestingly, the last point here is in some cases, it provides argument for you to close the business or not. It will happen, it happens a number of times. Some people will just close their business and leave and come back later, maybe a year, 2, 3, 4, and find out that somebody has started the same business and the person is thriving very well. And maybe they closed the business because they felt it wasn't doing well. So because of that, we usually ask people, if you want to even close a business, please do it so to know that this business will be closed. Right. The next point is the common shortcomings that we've noticed with feasibility study or when people do their feasibility study. We've highlighted about six of them here. The six of them is first is overestimated market potential. Number two, underestimated competition. Number three, plan capacity not compatible with market size. Number four, underestimated importance of management and manpower skill. Number five, market projection based on insufficient data. Number six, overestimated availability of infrastructure and other local services. Okay, let's take the first one. What are we talking about? Overestimated market potential as a shortcoming we find in feasibility studies. It's pretty easy. It's simply saying that we say market is the number of people that will buy from you. It's simply saying that you assume that more people will buy from you than the actual number of people that will truly buy from you. These things happen a number of times. How do they come about? How do you come about these things? These errors. These errors could be you may take the population of a particular town where you live. Could be say, okay, we have 1 million people here, and if I sell my product to these million people and they need it, because this 1 million people always use similar product, sell my product to them. And then if they use it and I make 5 naira from each of the products, so as my profit, that means I'm home and dry every month with 5 million. That's too simple to say. Uh, you may have overestimated the market potential. Are you sure your product is going to be bought by everyone? Does everyone need your product? Are they not substitute? Are they not using something? That's what you have not addressed. That takes us to the second point, which is underestimated competition. How about other competitors supplying the same good? You've not talked about them. You've not thought about them. You've not thought about what they are doing well. You need to also look at these people to know that, okay, wow, there could be other competitors supplying these things. So you need to also analyze this competition. So what are they doing? You know, when you want to do analysis of competition, you could use the five Porter's mod, five forces of competition. The theory brought by Michael Porter. Is the market, does the market have plenty rivalry? Or there's ease of entry as the second one. Then the third one is the market, does it have substitute? And the fourth one, he says, is it a biased market? Is it where the buyers determine who they buy from? Or the market is, we have few suppliers, meaning that so you look at these five forces and then see how it's going to affect. The planned capacity not compatible with market size. That always sounds clear, right? That's you, for example, your market capacity or market size, that is the number of people that buy from you is 100. And you go and buy equipment that can produce 1 million, 1.5. That's too much. But another error is sometimes your market size is already 100,000, and then you go and say, "Oh, I don't have money. I don't know what to do. I don't want to risk too much." You go and buy an equipment that can only produce for 1,000 people. You overwork those machines, and these are things that you can get from a feasibility study. Okay, that takes me to number four. Number four is we quickly underestimate the importance of management sometimes. Management is critical. These are they are okay. Let me tell you a story. Maybe from the story you understand. I usually tell this story to people about a parrot. There is this parrot that there's this parrot. There's this salesman. He sells parrot, and he has about two parrots. And so someone got into the shop and said, "How much is this parrot?" And he said, "That parrot is 1,000 naira." Said, "Wow, okay, okay. What can this parrot do?" He said, 1,000 naira. He said, "Yes, what can this parrot do?" Parrot can operate the computer. Wow, interesting. What about the second one? Oh, okay. Please, that one is 10,000 naira last. Man was amazed. Why should the parrot go for 10,000 naira? And he said, "Okay, that what can that parrot do?" He said, "That one can write computer programs." Interesting. And then he looked up and saw and noticed that there was another one kept very far, high up and in a very beautiful cage. So he asked, how about why is that one up there? And how about how much do you want to sell that? He said, "Well, that one goes for 100,000." man was the potential buyer was stunned and say, 100,000 naira. You say this one can operate computer, this one can write computer program. What can that one do? The salesman whispered and said, honestly, I don't know what that one can do. But you see, this other two call that one boss. So when they keep calling you boss, nobody calls you boss for nothing. You must have something that you do underground, and sometimes people don't even see it. And so, because people don't, people tend to underestimate the importance of management and power. All right, management is essentially for coordination, right? And then they bring in skills that are not readily available. All right, the other point is that your market projection might not be based on sufficient data. Uh, you might not have the right information. And so you plan with wrong information, you get wrong results. And interestingly, the last one is sometimes we ignore, I don't know whether is us that is ignoring it, or we're not doing a thorough study, or we are carried away by the fact that, yeah, let's start our business after this. And we don't check some of these things. Oh, that's the last point. Our availability of infrastructure and other local services. It needs to be common with somebody coming to farm. You go into farming and then you look for a piece of land that is very far off, piece of land that is far in, and you say, okay, fine, this is a large space. Let me start farming 20 hectares. There are a couple of things that you should look at. What are some of those things? Do you have bridges there? There may be streams around there. Do you have infrastructure such as bridge? And so if you don't have those things, bridge and roads, how do you get out your produce from the farm? You won't put them on your head. So that's some of the things, shortcomings we notice with that. All right, the other one is the importance of feasibility. First, it lists in details all the things that we need for the business to work. We mentioned that earlier on because it has to do with details. You know, you go deep into, I need this equipment, I need this, I need that. And then importance again. Number two, it identifies logistical issues. The first logistical issue is what is our when we store our produce. When you harvest from the farm, you need to put them somewhere so that you can think of how you take them to the market for sale. You don't move all your produce from the farm straight to the market. If people will think that, oh, the supply is much and then there are no buyers, and then they will now ask to pay you something below what your cost price is. That will be it. You need to put your produce somewhere and then look out for the market that you think they will quickly buy. And then you move, and the quantity that they usually buy, and then you move. So it's logistics that can help you address some of this. And the other one is it helps us to develop marketing strategy. You know, when you look at it, you now think of how do I market this? That question automatically comes. And the last importance is that is, like I said earlier, it's a solid foundation for developing a business plan. You don't just start waking up. You don't wake up and start writing your business plan. No matter how skilled you are, you end up doing it from a logical aspect and not from the experiential aspect. And entrepreneurs, yes, they thrive on logic, but cannot underestimate the need for experiential. Uh, that's it for the importance, and that concludes topic 2, which is importance, objective, and drawback. So let's go to the third thing, which is a short advice on how you go about your business. Well, I still don't get anyone talking to me at all. Are we in class? If you are listening to me and you are following, if I'm making some sense, if it's something that you are connecting with what I'm saying, type yes on the chat. That will encourage me. Just say yes. That's all I want to see. Okay. All right, all right, all right, right. Thank you very much, Belkisu. Okay, at least I have someone in the class. Okay, I'm encouraged now. Okay, now, how do you go about the feasibility study? The advice we say we want to give. The first, before you begin writing your feasibility study, identify how, where, and whom you intend to sell your product. Whom, at least, who is going to buy my item? You should know that. Are the people buying my item, are they young people? Are they old people? Are they wealthy people? Are they poor people? Are they male or are they female? You need to just know that. And then you also have to find out how you intend to sell this product. Are you going to sell them on a retail basis? Or are you going to sell them wholesale? And then you also find out, where do I sell them? Or should I sell them in the middle of Abuja, the high city, or I should sell them in the rural area, or I should take them out of the town and sell? Then another advice is assess your competition. The interesting thing about the way God made the world is that he didn't just leave it with um, he just shared most things liberally to everybody. And so once an idea comes to you, I bet you that same idea might be hovering around somebody's head as well. And what makes you different from the person is, as an entrepreneur, you pick those ideas and you develop it into money making venture. You don't keep it with yourself. That's what makes the difference. In the same way, also, just as God has given us the gift of potentials of entrepreneurship, He has also given to other people. And these people also wake up and then try to sell the same product. So we need to assess them. Are they selling well? Are they powerful? Are they doing well? What's their problem? What's their main thing? You need to just do this assessment so that as you're approaching the market, you understand how you could approach the market. All right, on the academic side, like I told you, you can use the 5 forces of competition, meaning that competition exhibits itself in 5 forces. And as they exhibit itself, if you're entering that market, it will let you know whether the market, if the competition is stiff, it will let you know whether you're going to make profit or you're not going to make profit. And for the purpose of repetition and the emphasis, let me mention the 5 forces again. Entry, barrier to entry or ease of entry into the market, competitive rivalry, availability of substitute, and few buyers in the market, and then few suppliers in the market, very few, or if I don't, few, or bargaining powers of buyers or bargaining powers of suppliers. So that's one model that you can use in assessing your competition. Okay, let's talk money, which is the last thing. Figure out how much you need to start the business. Sometimes people don't recognize that the amount they need to start the business is different from the amount they need to establish the business. Establish the business is to keep the business running until the business starts paying for itself. Of course, when you start a business, you will hire people that first month. That first month, we don't expect that the business will be able to make sales that can pay salary. Maybe to start making sales successfully in the next 3, 4, 5 months before you start making salary. So how much do you need to keep that business running until the time the business can pay salary? You need to find out that amount, not just the initial amount of rent, equipment, or the two was the total amount. All right, I think I have two advice here. Uh, this is how you go about it. Then the second advice on feasibility study is what I refer to as a feasibility study. What are we saying? We are saying do a pre-feasibility study before you go into the full feasibility study. Do a pre-feasibility study before you go into the full feasibility. So we are saying that before you proceed with a full-blown feasibility study, you may want to do a pre-feasibility study analysis of your own. What's the reason? If you find out on time that this idea is not feasible at all, that it's just an idea, it's not viable, you have saved time, money, so many things you have saved. You have saved a lot of headache. And knowledge that you can tell someone else who wants to start the idea that this idea doesn't work. And then another point is a pre-feasibility study may be conducted first to help you sort out some relevant scenario. When you are doing the pre-feasibility study, which is not a full-blown one, sometimes you do it in your office, sometimes you do it using Google search and all that. You can check some scenario. What if I supply this? What will happen? What if I do this? And all of that. So that when you get to the field, you now focus on essentially what you need to do. You don't just go to the field and start designing those things. And then the third point is that you could pick a consultant to help you with the feasibility study. Please help me, I'll pay, or this is how much I can afford. But note that if a consultant is helping you on that, please and please, I say, go ahead and be involved in what he's doing. When you are involved, it gives you an opportunity to understand essentially what the business is all about. All right, so the next or the last item under this is a component that we expect to see in your feasibility study report. When you're done with your feasibility study, how do we know you even did a feasibility study? You come up with some information and we expect to draft it in a form of a report so that any other person can pick it up and read and understand exactly what you have found. So um, we should see these 6 things. Description of the business, right? In terms of what product are you offering. So what we're saying is that what is the business idea? Just give us a description of the business idea and what you want to sell. Then allow me jump to the last one and I'll come back again to the other 4. Give us a conclusion. Discuss how the business can succeed as a conclusion, and we advise that you should be very honest in your assessment because the investors won't just take or the person reading your feasibility study won't just take a hook, line, sinker. He's going to take a careful look at the data. He's going to question how realistic your conclusions are. And some people will even give your report to a personal assistant or another expert to review for them. So just write as this, be honest with whatever you put down there. Okay, the 4 in the middle they are quite important, and we tend to say this should be the minimum we should see. We should see something on market feasibility. We should see something on technical feasibility. We should see something on financial feasibility, and we should see something on operational feasibility. Okay. If you want to remember, you could just say M, 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 M in 4 places. M for market, M for material, M for money, and M for man. All right. Okay, market feasibility, it includes a description of the industry. An industry is a group of firms producing similar items, or trading similar items. So describe the industry you are. Talk about the current market. You know, I said market is the number of people that buy, right? Then talk about future market potential. How many people likely buy in future? When we say how many people likely buy in future, you look at it from the number of children that are born today. If you're selling a product for teenagers, you know that in the next 13 years, 12 years, they will start asking for that product. So you should be able to anticipate that market potential. Then competition, talk about competition, talk about your own sales projection, and maybe mention potential buyers. That's what we want to see. So what do you do when you're going out for your feasibility study? Design a questionnaire around this point so that when you get to the field, you just be box ticking them or you just write remarks there. When you get back, your report is very easy to write. Technical feasibility, that's the next one. Give us details of how you intend to produce this item. What equipment are you going to use? What technology are you going to use? What labor will be coming in and how do you intend to transport it? What material, your raw material? Anything about technicalities of the business, that's what you discuss. Next one is financial feasibility. Financial feasibility, we want you to talk about how much you will need, where you are going to get the money from. Like in this case, we're getting the money from Niger Microfinance. So that's our source of capital. Why we write source of capital here is that by the time you exceed this 10 million requirement, I mean, when your business gets so big that you might be needing like 100 million, 300 million, you need to tell us your source of capital. Would it be from friends? Would it be from other investors? And all of that? And you know, when you're getting money from an investor, The first question the investor will want to ask is, what's in it for me, right? Another word for what's in it for me is return on investment. So how much do you think this business will be bringing back? How much will it be bringing back? So at the end of the day, you value the business again. If it's a business that you are pumping 10 million, at the end of the day, you value it again. What's the net worth of that business? If the net worth of that business is now 12 million, that means your return on investment is 2 million. And then we'll go and check how much cash is left. If cash of 4 million is left, you know that 2 million, we'll look at it. If you have been using 2 million to run the business, then the other 2 million we can share it as profit. Or we'll keep it to expand the business either way. All right, the last one here is organizational feasibility, where you look at the organizational structure, you look at how the business is going to be set up, you look at professionals that are there, and then you also look at if it's an already existing business, you look at this new idea that you're bringing that will be formed. Can it merge with what you already have? Will it cause problems? So that's what you write out in the feasibility study. All of this you are trying to do is to make sure that you satisfy the person that yes, the business is good and it works. All right, let me just show a little illustration here and I can close this first section. Thank you for those of you that have been listening. Let's see how we can close this first session and start the next section quickly. Under market analysis, I say talk about the target population, the total people you want to do it. Then segment this target population into probably the group that you'll be facing. When you're segmenting, you segment along the line of gender, that is man, woman. You segment along middle class, or that is income or age group. Then you bring a strategy for each of these segments. And again and again and again and again, I will remind you, do a competitive. All right, I think I'm back again as usual with internet connectivity. I also noticed that some of you go off and come in again. Well, what we have, let's make do with what we have. Let me share my screen again where I am. Good, good. I think you can see my screen now. I believe you can see my screen. You can see my screen. Where am I? I'm on competition and buying patterns. All right, you look at competition and buying patterns. If you buy more from your competitors, maybe their quality is higher and all of that. You do that analysis. That's for market analysis or market display. Okay, the next one is technical analysis. Here we'll talk about the location, talk about the equipment that you need, your suppliers, who is going to be supplying it, and then specialized personnel, and then the raw materials that you also need. We need you to address some of that. Okay, I notice sometimes even my slide is slow. I hope what I'm saying matches what the slide is, so that you'll be able to get you'll be able to flow along with it. Okay, next slide. Financial analysis. This time you add money to what you have under the market and what you have under the technical. Under the market, we have sales projection. You can see it under here, right? So you add money to it by estimating then multiply by the projection so that we get our total sales. Then for the technical side, your plants, equipment, your property, how much would they cost? Raw material for 2 months, how much? The salaries and that you'll be paying at least for 3 months, how much? And bringing any other pre-operational expense, let's have a careful look at this your analysis of financial outlay. Okay, the other one is your organizational analysis. This involves questions such as whether the system has enough support to be implemented successfully, right? Whether it brings an excessive amount of change, whether the organization is changing too rapidly, where you need to address change management issues and restraining forces or driving forces. So that's it, gentlemen. That's all. That's all for feasibility. Now I'm back again. I'm back again. Let me share my screen and let me get you to do some work for me. All right, so review question. Now that I can still see some people in the class, let's do review a little. The first one here, I have 4 questions here. I know some people don't like questions. Why asking question? Talk and go. Yes, I'm going to talk and go, but when you answer the question, it becomes interactive because it means I'm discussing with you. So that's the essence. I don't even expect the correct answer. Whether it's right, wrong, it doesn't matter now. But what counts is that if you're listening, then you must pick something that you can tell someone, or you can tell someone some other time, or that can agree with what you have in mind. Good. Right number one, right number two, number three, number four, because there are 4 questions here. If you're answering number one, just write number one and then answer it. Number two, answer it. Number three, answer it. Number four, answer it. And you do that for your break. I'll come back maximum 11:30 to use the next short time to conclude. Okay, so let me hear your answers in the chat. First one is should every business have a feasibility plan? So write number one, put the answer for me. Should every business have a feasibility plan? Number two, what's the relevance or importance of feasibility plans? So you write number two, you write think. And number three, from this lesson, which aspect of the feasibility plan can you prepare? Which aspect do you think you are comfortable with? You can write all, you can write this, you can write that. Then for that takes us number four, which is for which aspect will you require help of others? So where do you think that you need somebody to assist you? I know some of you just write none and that will feel great there, meaning that you have grabbed the lesson. All right, I'll wait for your answers in the chat, and by 12:30, 1:30, I will start business plan. All right, it's 12:30, 11:30. It's time for me to start the second section. Yes, I've got an answer. Answer to number one. Should every business have a feasibility plan? The answer is yes. Thank you. Okay. Oh, looks like only one participant in class. Fine. All right, let's go to the next. Okay. Oh, yes, I've gotten another answer. He said, yes, every business. Number two, to know where, how, and who will patronize the business and how much will be needed for the business. All right, great. Thanks for the answer. Let's go to business plan now. I said we have seven. I said earlier at the beginning that we have about seven outline here. Executive summary, one, business vision, two, your strategy, three, four, your market summary, five, competitive advantage, SWOT, risk, six, resource planning, and the final one is financial protection. Seven of them. All the time they are about, they hover around seven items. Okay. Executive summary. Fine. What's executive summary? Executive summary is simply a summary of the whole business plan. Number one, when do you write it? At the end of the business plan. Number two, how long should it be? I recommend one page. Some people say one or two, 3 pages is fine. I say do one page. And number three, make it very, very colorful and catchy. You're dealing with executives who don't have time. If your own executive summary is more catchy, they'll take a look at it, go through it, and if it's just one page, they're done with it, they make up their mind on it. And the person that writes executive summary about 5, 7 pages, that won't work easily with executives. Right, that's it. The next one, business description. Tell us about your business. Is it a limited liability? Is it a partnership? Is it sole proprietorship? Is it registered? Well, who is the promoter? Who is after it? What does he want to do? Describe the business. Then state the purpose or the aim of the business. When you do that, we will want you to state the mission. Mission is purpose, right? Mission is the purpose of the business. Why is the business in existence? That's what the mission is. So write it. And if you're putting the mission of the business, write it in such a way that let's say, okay, we wrote it here. We say, try to use words that will help direct the growth of your company, but be as concise as possible. That's what we're saying. And then some people go ahead and write vision for us. Yes, you can write vision for us. Vision is what? Desired future optimal state. What you want, what you see yourself, what is the company looking like in the near future. It's not so critical to a business plan because the plan is a plan. But when you begin to put what you see yourself to be, then we know that you have a clean roadmap or you know where you are going to, not just stating the purpose of or the reason for the existence. Next item, this item, you come here, we expect you to give us your strategy, give us your business concept. What's your concept? What's your model? Recall if you're in class when we're discussing about Bekisu and Amarachi, you know the two of them had different concepts towards selling of orange. The one says I sell on credit, the other one says strictly cash. Those are business concepts. And if you look at taxi business, you see there are a number of business concepts there. Like the concept of used by Uber is different from the concept used by the traditional taxi operators. One will buy his taxi, he will hire a driver. The other one doesn't hire a driver or buy taxis. He only provides how to get this client. Okay, so we want to see your strategy, summarize even the key technology you'll be using, and then give us your strategy that this is how I'm going to get my resource allocated. This is how I think I'll be getting, and this is how return for it. This is how I think I will be. I will okay. Just strategy. It's method of doing things. And give us a value proposition. What we mean by value proposition? We are saying propose to us a value, just like you propose to a lady. You usually propose to a lady by saying by proposing some value. You let the lady know that this is what I'm bringing on board. I'm bringing on board efficiency. I'm bringing on board quality. I'm bringing on board speed. I'm bringing on board cost. But don't just. It's not just what you are bringing on board. It's what you are bringing on board that the second person cannot bring, or what you are bringing on board that somebody that is perceived to be better than you is also bringing on board. That's what we mean by value proposition. So show us your value proposition in this section. Right, next one is your market summary. We talked extensively about market. Recall when we're talking about market feasibility under the feasibility study. Most of those things that you find out, you bring them here. And specifically, there are some things that were mentioned here that you should take note for the feasibility study. We say summarize the market in the past, present, and future. If you have review, you can review changes in terms of the market share. When we say market is number of people that will buy. So when we say market share is your share of those that will buy. So your share of those that will buy, because there's a population, if almost a fixed population that can buy your product. So is your share out of that fixed population that we mean by market share. So review the changes in your market share. Why are people are buying from me? Why are they now some of them buying from other people? And all of that. Look at market shifts. Look at costs. Market shift is. Sorry, I skipped something there. Leadership. Leadership is who has the biggest market share. Then players are all of you in that market that are trying to sell something to somebody. The market shift could come in form of who are they buying from before? Who are they now buying? All those movements. Look at pricing. Look at competition that can provide. Look at competition, particularly from the point that the one that can provide opportunity for success of the business. One of the ways I say people should do that is they should look at it from. They should look at it from. What do I say? Look at it from the challenges or the weaknesses of your competitor. Maybe that will help you get the. Maybe that will help you know the the person's challenge can be your opportunity. Maybe the person sells only in bulk. You could go and start retailing and you might move faster. These are some of the things we're saying you should let us know that competition. Okay, the other point, not the last one, is competitive advantage. I like this one majorly because competitive advantage is what you have that your neighbor, or what you have that the other person doesn't have. How do you have something that someone else doesn't have? It comes from unique resources, something that is unique to you. You have those things other people may not have, and then it also deals with your core competence. Core competence is your core business, core area, what you face. So when you combine your unique resources with the core competence, you get a competitive advantage. That's how you develop your competitive advantage. And once you have a competitive advantage and it cannot be replicated, then you are good to go. It means you can go for a long way. Meaning also that some competitive advantage can be replicated. And I recall in one class, I stressed that this is so important. You need to sit down and design your competitive advantage or work at competitive advantage. And then someone asked me, how do I get competitive advantage? I said, well, there are two approaches. You sit down and design your strategy or think deeply about it and get innovative about it. That's one. And that's more lasting. Or the second one, you try to copy someone else. Copy another person's competitive advantage. It's a free market. Because as you develop your own competitive advantage, I can bet you sure that someone is going to copy your own competitive advantage. All right, so that's it. That's how it is in business world. The next thing is your SWOT. We want to see your SWOT analysis. Talk about your strength. Talk about your weaknesses. talk about the opportunities and then talk about the threats. What are your strengths and your weaknesses? Those are things that are concern your own organization, your own company. What's the strength in your company? What's the weakness in your company? And then the other side of it is opportunities and threats. These are external things, things that you cannot influence. So what's the opportunity? Assuming you are a exporter of agricultural product, it's an opportunity now because when you export things, you get paid in dollars and the exchange rate is in your favor. But the same thing that is opportunity for you who is an agricultural producer or a farmer could be a threat to another person who manufactures things. He needs to replace his machines and then he can only get this thing from outside. So his exchange, he needs to get foreign exchange and it might be difficult, the exchange rate might be favorable and all that. Those are all external. We need you to put these things down for us. It's not a big deal, just list them. You say your strength, list, you say your weakness, list. Then you come to opportunities, you list the opportunities, you list the threats. The ones that are difficult to figure out, that is the one that you just need to explain a little. Put a small note to it so that we can attach a meaning to what you're saying. Then the last one is on this point, this particular topic is your risk. Those of you that were here or earlier on, we talked about risk. We say every feasible business will face risk, and risk has to do with probability of something happening. So the probability that an event will happen, all events are at a probability. Is the impact that becomes an issue for us. So we'd like you to profile your risk for us. Uh, when you're profiling your risk, write the probability that it will happen, write the impact, then we wouldn't let you go free yet. You can do a risk dashboard for us where you put color red, green, and then yellow to tell us which one is more. But that's not so important to us as writing alongside how you intend to mitigate this risk, how you intend to deal with the risk. So you write the ones that will take care of by insurance, the ones that you will, anything that you need to do to give the investor some assurance that once funds are put here to be lost. Resource planning. Yeah, resource planning. Apart from money, all other resources, what we want to see you talk about here. When we say resources, all the things that you'll be using and the way you plan to deploy your organization. Like like you plan that from social time to social time, you're going to acquire this machine from social time to social time. You're going to learn this from social time to social time. You're going to hire this from social time to social time. You will talk to some distributors. That's what we mean by your resource planning. You put them down so that we can have a clean roadmap as to what you are doing. The other resource plan, right, which is our financial projection, is what we'll talk about in the next slide quickly. Okay. Oh, sorry, before that, let's talk about resource. For resource, from your human resource, we need you to put it up, first put up your organizational program, as they call it, where we'll see who the CEO is, who the chairman is, who is reporting to the CEO, who is reporting to who, and then what their rules are. Let's see something like that in the chat so that we know that by the time you have a strategy, it can be cascaded down. Do something like that. And we want to go in detail to all the people occupying this position. Write out their position, write out their names if you already know. If you don't know, that means to be employed, and right to be employed. Then write out the job qualification that we expect from them. Then importantly, write experience. Experience is different from qualification. Qualification might not be as important as experience. In the sense that yes, somebody might have qualification but doesn't have practical experience. You're going to have some challenge with the person in the short run until the person gathers experience. So for now that you're starting, you don't want those risks. So you need someone that has experience, not just experience. List out. Let's see what the person has accomplished before. Milestone, the person, what the person has achieved before. Let the person we put that down so that we can see that you have planned your resource very well, and you already have people on ground that will carry this business. Last thing, Last thing is our financial projection. We talk about other projection, other planning. Now, we want to see financial projection. We say it outline what? A high level financial plan that defines your high level in the sense that the details are, we need all the details, we need all the figures. And it defines the financial model you'll be using. It will also want to see the pricing assumptions. How do you assume? Because you will definitely make assumptions because we're talking about the future. So you will say, okay, my price will be at this. The number of people will buy. We need that assumption. We need those assumptions. So you start first. Under the financial projection in the business plan, it's going to be a summary. Where this summary, where we get the details, that's what you put in your appendix. So two things will be found in this financial projection. Summary of your projection and then your pricing assumption, or just to call it assumption because there are going to be other assumptions that may not necessarily be pricing. So we see these two things in this section. Details of the financial projection, particularly cash flow projection, you take it in the appendix as an attachment. All right, I will talk about what the cash flow projection looks like, how you can go about it, and then we can close this session. It is some of the summary or totals that you bring into this section as your summary of financial projection. So let's quickly look at a detailed cash flow, and then we'll close this section. Okay, you can see the next slide. You can see the last item there is appendix where you're going to put those things. And we will be sending you this slide at the end of this presentation. And then you can go back to the YouTube, our YouTube page. We will like it if you like us, and then you watch for clarification. And when you have any other question, you can type it on the WhatsApp chat group. We'll give you your response. We don't know if they're going to ask you any question during your interview for the loan, so that you can match it against what your business idea is, so that you give a very reasonable answer. We really, really want you to win your loan request. Okay. All right. You could do your with the cash flow forecast. You could use a plain sheet and design it like we have written here. Break it down into columns. The first column for description, then the other columns for the period. The period will be months, weeks, or days. And if you can see my screen, I would like to illustrate something. I mean, if you can look at my face, I have a glass here of water. The glass of water is almost like what I'm going to describe here now. You see, if you keep pouring here, water will be collecting here. So what collects here is the balance. This balance that is collected here is what we describe on the screen as layout 3. You know, I said there are 3 layouts I want to talk about. So that's number 3. Then that's for the water that is collected. Then this water that is entering here, right, is this first layer. Assuming we have an outlet here, a hole somewhere that this water goes out, is the second outlet. So just picture it like that as I explain this thing. Right, so the first one is what? Cash flow, right? It deals with your income. Your income could be sales, loan, or money paid from debtors, right? Then the second section is your expenditure, monies that you're spending. It could be in form of purchases, wages and salaries. It could be rent, it could be insurance, and then you write it out. You bring the 2 layouts out. The first one, which is inflow, and then the second one, which is outflow. In our example here, sales and loan. Our example sales and loan. That's 600 and then 1,000, making 1,006. In the expenditure purchases 800, which is 400, making 1,002. So let's bring in the balance. That's this now, right? Let's see how it looks like. That's the third layout. If you can see, the cursor is pointing at it. Layout 1, section 1, section 2. So let's look at the third section that should be under here. All right, this is the third section that will be under them. Here you bring in the opening balance. The opening balance is the amount you use to start the business. not, I mean, the one that you have on you. If you don't have anything on you as you're starting the business, write 0. Then recall the total income. Where did we get 1,006 from? I'm going to go back a little so that you see it. You can see 1,006 here, total income, made up of sales 600, loan 1,000. I'm back here again. Then you see total expenditure 1,002. I'll go back to show you where we got it from. See expenditure 800, purchases, wages 400, making 1,200. If you are using Excel, the addition varies. But if you are using a plain sheet and you're writing your table, fine, you need your calculator. Okay, so outflow versus inflow versus outflow. What are we saying that we are talking about the balance that is left from your transaction? Income 1,006, expenditure 1,2. The difference gives us what? 400. Okay. Now, how do you get the 700? 700 is addition of this 300 plus this 300 plus 400, 700. So what do you do with this 700? You move it here, you start it with the beginning, you use it as the opening balance for the next period. That's how you plot out the third layer. Now, the issues are here, things that you should note. All right, before this, let me mention something that you should note is that what if there is no 300 here at all? You only have 400 and closing balance will be 400. The next period, you start with 400. What if these expenses was like 1,000, yeah, let's say was like 600. So if it's 600 or 1,000, let's say 1,000, how do you spend 1,002? You have to get 200 from this 300 up here. So you have 100 left. So you start the next period with what? 100. What if this one goes down and it's just 600 here? And you have 300 here. So that's 900. What do? You have 1,002 to spend. And you have 900. I'm assuming this 1,000 is not. You have 900 to, it's only 900 I got in. So what do you do? The first thing is for you to move 300 to the second period there. So you pay only 900. So you have 0 here, and then you already have 300 waiting for you here. Yeah, you can do it that way. Then another problem is, what if here you have 1,006, here you have 300, okay, and here you have 4,000, and this continues like that, then your business is not feasible. However, note that this can continue for a period. Then one major inflow will come in and then cover it. Yes, that's maybe depending on the nature of your business. Like those of you into agriculture, the first 1-2 months you'll be securing expenditure until you start selling from harvest. Or depending on, and then for those of you that depend on daily sales, your model is going to be different. So it's a function of what business you are into. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Bilkisu, thank you very much for your participation. I don't know your name, Technopovo. Eddie Mark, Konoja, Amarachi, and the others didn't put their name here. I want to thank all of you for participating in this section. Thank you for listening. I want you to have a very great day. But before we leave, we're going to post another quiz again. It looks like this class is not used to answering quiz. We're posting quiz on the chat. You can deal with it there. We'll post quiz on the WhatsApp chat. You can deal with it there so that we'll see your score and know how we have performed. And then we'll put the link to the YouTube so that I can watch it anytime. And also this particular presentation slide PowerPoint will be placed on the WhatsApp chat for reference purposes. Thank you. I will take your questions now. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question. All right. Okay. If I have question, feel free to unmute yourself and ask your question. If I don't have any question, we'll start posting the links now, and we'll wait for you to quickly finish your your the answer the quiz, and in the next 5 minutes we should close, and I will wish all of you a very beautiful
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, ma.
Yes, sir, I would like for you to throw more light on business concept, strategy, and value proposition. Position, sorry.
All right. If I got the question right, throw more light on value proposition, strategy, and business concept, right? Right? Okay. All right. Let me mention it. Like when we say value proposition is what value are you offering your client? What value are you offering your customer? Why must they pay money for what you are bringing on board? That's what essentially we are saying there. But you don't just say, well, I'm bringing value. Like if you want to talk about water, you don't just say, because you're going to be thirsty, I'm bringing you water. You have not proposed any additional value. Because the other customers, the other people selling water are also selling the same product. But if you have a value, if your value could be, I am bringing my water in a portable format. That means something that you can help carry, or my water is going to always come chilled, meaning that you have added a value. Or you can add other, or let's apart from water, let's look at other products. Let's talk about the telephone world. When in the smartphone world, when they are talking about value, they are talking about what you can get from that smartphone offer you. For example, if you say, okay, this phone I'm selling to you has Bluetooth in it, the other phones that have Bluetooth in them might be way, way, way more expensive. Variables that you can use in adding value, and they are one, cost, meaning that your price is low because maybe you are sourcing your raw materials from somewhere that you're getting your raw material from very cheap places, from where it's affordable, maybe countries that their labor is something that is on cost generally. Then speed. What if you are able to bring your product to them earlier than other people? Maybe some people it takes them, they'll say, okay, you get your product by evening. Whereas you can do it immediately. That's for speed. And then for efficiency, efficiency is what you get out of whatever you have put in. Maybe the product can make generate like or 2 times what other people are producing. So those are value propositions. What value proposing. Then for strategy and then your business concept, like I said, you know that the Uber and then Taxify is that they don't spend money on buying taxis or paying salaries. Where they spend money is they invest their money in technology, and then they source passengers for the taxi. That's the strategy they have approached, where they bring in the use of technology instead of the traditional method of sourcing. Yes. So you have to come up, write out your strategy clearly for us and your concept clearly for us to see in your business. And when you write it, it has to be explicit enough because you're not going to be there to read out and explain. When we read what you have written, we should be able to figure out or understand clearly the model and the strategy that you are using. Strategy could even include things like I want to operate an airline. Airline, I'm not going to serve food. I'm not going to serve these things. And then you drop the price significantly. That will be no free. Or you say, no, I want to sell only to the very rich people. Then you now bring up all forms of options and put in a particular product. And then you're looking for very wealthy people to sell one item from that you must have added a lot of markup to cover for all your trouble. That's essentially what we are trying to see in that section. I hope I've been able to answer your question. Was I able to answer your question? All right, I'm not getting the response again, but if I'm able to answer your question, fine. I didn't get the name of the person that asked the question. I don't know if it's Cynthia, but I ask everyone to unmute if you want to ask question. And if you have not unmute, you can write your question in your chat. I will answer it now in the chat column, or you can raise hand. We'll let you unmute yourself and answer the question. All right, let me look for the slide presentation and quickly put it on the WhatsApp group so that anybody can make reference to it. But I also believe that in a short while, we'll also the YouTube.
Then,
All right, the question was from Amarachi. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for understanding what I have said. Okay, I'm trying to quickly get the, just give me a few minutes. Let me post the slide and then we can call it a day if there's no more question. All right, in a couple of minutes, you'll get the presentation there on the WhatsApp chat. I must say I've enjoyed my class from particularly those other participants. For those of you that were participating only with your mind and not talking to me, I also appreciate you. But it's difficult for me to identify you. I thank you to have a very